Hello and welcome to the LOLO CYNTHIA Show. Today we're going to talk about some very interesting stories. We're talking about UK and how they want to send their unwanted refugees to Rwanda. Like, is Rwanda now a dumping site for Europeans? We also talk about the OXFAM recent report that implicates Nairobi Women's Hospital, Lagoon Hospital in Nigeria, amongst others, in financial extortion. And lastly, we end the story with something controversial, because why not? I'm telling women why they have outgrown their husbands and why it's time for them to leave them behind. All of this on the LOLO CYNTHIA Show today. Cue the montage. So today, on the first story we have on the LOLO CYNTHIA Show, it's something political. I'm not usually a politics kind of person, but sometimes politics can be quite interesting. So there is the story happening in UK versus Rwanda, and I'm like, I just have to share it with my audience. The UK have been complaining about the influx of illegal migrants into their country seeking asylum. They say they do not have the resources to take care of the rate and the number of people who are coming in. So last year they came up with an illegal migration bill. This was when Boris Johnson was still the prime minister. He's probably there with his crazy hair. He came up with this illegal migration bill that talks about how if you come into the country illegally, they have the right to detain you and send you back. However, if you're coming from a country that is deemed unsafe, there's no way they can take you back to that country. It's just unconstitutional. And this is where the Rwandan thing comes into play. They talked about how they will take you and deport you to a third world country that is safe. So instead of processing your asylum or your refugee status in the UK, you will do it from the country where you've been deported to. Now, whilst they were looking for countries to, safe African countries that they can have this deal with, they reached out to Kenya, allegedly, and Kenya said, look, this is just not going to work for them because they do not have the financial capacity to deal with this. Even if they're going to be paid a bit, it's just not going to favor them in the long run. So Rwanda agreed to this partnership, but they're going to be paid £140 million to set this up. Last year, the High Court in the UK deemed it legal and said, look, as long as the third world country is safe, they can do whatever they want. When this thing came out, the UK continued their game, continued their partnership. They visited Rwanda. They even looked at the hostels that they were building for these refugees, just really waiting for them to send the refugees or deport the refugees, if we use the right word, to Rwanda. Last week, though, because activists did not just rest. They're like, there is no way we can accept this. They took the case and the government to the Supreme Court. And last week, the Supreme Court in the UK deemed it unconstitutional. They said there is no way that they can send refugees who are looking for a better life back to Africa or back to Rwanda. And one of the reasons why they deemed it unconstitutional was because they said that Rwanda is an unsafe third world country. I really have a problem with the term third world country. I think it's it drives me nuts. Right now, everybody is up in arms. The activists are really overwhelmed and overjoyed that this was the case. The UK government has said they're going to appeal the case, that this is just a way to waste the taxpayers' money, because this is going to encourage the smugglers to continue to let illegal migrants into the country. So this is a quick summary, of what's happening in the country right now. I know that the Rwandan government, they came out with a statement and they said that the UK government obviously at the end have the last say about what they should do, but there is no way the UK government should deem their country unsafe, because that is just untrue. And I'm inclined to accept the statement from the Rwandan government. And as I'm thinking about this whole story and I'm doing the research and I'm just checking everything, the first thing that comes to mind is look, what is wrong with the UK? All through centuries, you guys moved around Africa, Asia, India, and the rest, because you guys were economic migrants. So why can't you understand when people are coming to your country because of their seeking they're running away from economic hardships? You should have empathy and recognize that this is something you did, so let other people do it as well. However, I understand that it can be difficult when you just have an influx of illegal migrants. Resources are finite. You cannot just keep pumping taxpayers' money into taking care of these refugees who come into the country illegally. However, when you think about it, though, the UK don't even have lots of routes for people who are seeking asylum to come into. I think right now they only have it for Ukraine and Afghanistan, which again, listen, it always drives me nuts that the Ukraine war started like less than 2 years ago, and the whole world has changed their template to accept them. So it's like, what is the value you place on the lives of other refugees who are coming into your country? So that's another point that I have. And then I'm also looking at Rwanda. Like, listen, I love you guys. I love the development you guys are doing. But why are you just letting the UK, why are you letting the Europe use your country as a dumping ground? Because if you guys don't know, this is not the first time that Rwanda has accepted this deal. In the past, they've accepted refugees from Israel. They've also accepted from Denmark. And I know that recently they accepted African migrants who were suffering in Libya into their country as well. So I'm wondering, like, Rwanda, is this just a cash cow for you to get people into your country? Is this a way for you to build your population? Is this a way for you to get, funds and money from the European wars? Like, look, I love a good hustle, but this is just getting a bit much, because I don't like the idea of Europeans saying these are unwanted people we want in our country, so let's send them back to Africa. And then lastly, the idea that Rwanda is unsafe. Oh my God. I feel like when I was watching the news, because I was watching it in real time, I was like, what? Just say that this thing is unconstitutional. There's no need for you to say that Rwanda is it's an unsafe third world country. I have a huge problem with the framing of that, because now I'm thinking, when we look at the US, the amount of gun violence that goes up in that country is insane. But there is no way the UK would ever deem, the USA as an unsafe first world country. So even the way that the Supreme Court framed this ruling is very, I don't want to use the word racist, but yeah, it's very racist, white supremacy vibe. Because who are you to say that a country where, the development has really blown the minds of all Africans away is an unsafe place? This is not a conversation of if the man is a dictator or not, because that's what people are talking about. Because he might be, but that's not, again, what the conversation is about. It's about how, if the refugees can actually find safety and security in that country, and I personally believe they can. But this is all we have for the first story regarding Rwanda and the UK, and if Rwanda has become a dumping ground for the West. I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section. Do you think it's inhumane? Do you think it's a great way for Rwanda to actually make a few bucks for their country? Let me hear what you have to say in the comment section below. There's a new OXFAM report. It's called Sick Development, because I love the name, because some crazy things are happening with the funds that the African private hospitals receive from the UK Development Financial Institute. So the report says that some private hospital chains and other for-profit healthcare centers in India, Mozambique, Kenya, Nigeria, and Uganda received millions of pounds from the UK aid budget as some form of investment to ensure that medical services are subsidized and available to the general public. However, instead of them doing that, these healthcare, corporations refused to subsidize this cost and actually engaged in some serious human rights violations and extortion of patients. Financial extortion, by the way. So now let's talk about what's happening in Kenya. In Kenya, the report revealed that Nairobi Women's Hospital were exploiting their patients all the way from like 2020, 2018. In 2020, there was actually this WhatsApp message that leaked where we see senior management telling their staff members that they need to ensure that they increase admissions and actually delay discharges to ensure that the income targets are met. You can see that the other messages it's on the screen right now, where they're telling them, you need to stop discharging 14 patients. It's not sustainable, that we cannot continue doing this, that we need to make sure that they are locked. Then we move to Mozambique. In Mozambique, the hospital that was named here is called Maputo Private Hospital. This hospital, apparently during COVID, they received some funds to take care of, COVID patients. We all know how the world was at that moment. They received funds from the International Finance Corporation. But instead of making life easier for the populace in the country, they started charging like COVID-19 patients $6,000 deposit for oxygen and $10,000 for a ventilator. That's just so crazy. The same thing happened in Uganda with this hospital called Masekoro Hospital. Apparently, this hospital were charging people $1,600 daily if they are using their intensive care unit. Another hospital in the same Uganda, it's called TMR Hospital, charged one patient $116,000. And this patient even died from the virus. And now I'm telling you, like, see, if I was a family member of that patient, I'm not going to pay anything. Let them hold the dead body, because what's that? $116,000? That's just insane. Anyway, then we have my country, Nigeria, my motherland, the country with the 4th maternal mortality rate in the world. 2 hospitals were implicated in this report from Nigeria. The first one is a private high-end hospital. It's called Lagoon Hospital. You know, when they talked about this Lagoon Hospital in the report, this was the only hospital that they said they were prolific beneficiaries of this fund. The report showed that all the way from 1999, OXFAM identified that this hospital has received indirectly or directly at least 100, investments to these hospitals. However, even with the investment that this Lagoon Hospital received, if you want to use that hospital, their basic, I'm not talking about anything intense, their basic maternity package would cost 50% of the population 9 months of their salary. And then if you're in the 10% of the poor, people, it's going to cost you 9 years of your salary to be able to access the basic package of their maternity care. Now, Lagoon Hospital tried to double down and say, no, we actually do allow even poor people, low income earners. Also, if you're on the national health insurance, we will let you into the hospital. But the gag is only 3% of Nigerians actually have national health insurance. This is as of last year, 2022. So who are they lying to? This is obviously a hospital for the rich, even if they've been given investment to subsidize. But now that I was reading, I'm like, wow, Lagoon Hospital, why can you do this? How can you do this? They tell me that the second hospital that was implicated, it's called Evercare Hospital. They're even worse because their maternity package costs 30 to 100% more than Lagoon Hospital. How is that sustainable to the general public? A lot of people in Nigeria are poor, by the way. Forget all the Afro beats. A lot of Nigerians are poor. So this report right now is obviously just scratching the surface of financial extortion that's happening in African hospitals. Truthfully, I've always known that the hospitals in Africa has moved from treatment centers to trade centers because they're trying to always make money from people. Anyway, after this expose, Oxfam is advising or recommending to the UK government that they should stop sending public funds to private hospitals and probably channel that money to the public hospitals in the country, because they would be able to take care of more of the population. I don't know how I feel about this, because truthfully, I understand that it makes more sense to send this money to the public hospitals. But again, if there is no monitoring, if there is no accountability, the same thing is going to happen. So we need to tighten up. I'm tired of us collecting money and funds, first of all, from the West to take care of ourselves. But if you do get this grant, why don't you make sure you use it properly? Why don't you ensure that the funds go to the people that need it the best? And private end hospitals, you need to do something. This is crazy. The financial extortion is painful. But I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section. Is this something you've experienced in your community? Is this something you've experienced in your country? What are the rates for maternity packages in your country? And do you think that these private hospitals are really exploiting the public? I want to see what you have to say in the comment section. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, people, this is the controversial story for the day. I love the controversial relationship stories. Anyway, it seems like the general public is just coming to a realization that marriages are just like every other relationship. The only difference is that you signed a contract. Well, I'm not trying to minimize it, but it is just like every other relationship where people can outgrow each other or grow in different directions. Recently, a video came online. I don't understand all the theatrics around it. There is a young lady who spoke about how she wouldn't get married again if she was 20 or 30 because they outgrew each other. Let's take a look at the video and we'll talk right after.
Things that I would not do again in my 20s and 30s. I would not get married. I met my husband when I was 24 and we got married when I was 29. At the time, I thought that this was the ideal situation. I'm at the perfect age to get married. But what I realized was in the 4 years that we were married, I grew so much as a person. I graduated from business school, started my own business. I just became such a different person that I didn't feel like he was the best fit for me anymore. And I don't think I could have realized that at 29 when I said yes. If I could do it again, I would have allowed myself to have so much more growth in my life before I made a decision on a life partner. And it's really nothing against that partner specifically, but it was more about the direction that I wanted my life to take. My interests by 35 were unrecognizable to my younger self. And I don't think it would have been fair for me to take him on this journey if I didn't think that he was the right partner for the version of me that was to come.
Wow. Honestly, hey God, I don't understand what is so crazy about this video. This is the most common sense video that I probably watched. This lady is talking about how the marriage was not something she was meant to do at that age. She probably did it because she thought that was the next best thing that she was meant to do in life. You know how we talk about stages in life. She thought that's the best thing she needs to do. But she realized that she evolved in the 4 or 5 years they were together. And what is wrong with that? I'm just so crazy. I've been seeing so many comments about this video that has just made me, I don't know, screaming through my pillow. It is possible that two people can get together at a very young age, and these guys still don't have a complete idea of what they want in life. So when you're 35 and you look back at yourself of 29 or 26, you realize that you were still figuring life out. And it is very possible that the person you're doing life with is also still figuring life out for himself. And then you realize that both of you cannot do life together because both of you have actually outgrown each other, or you're growing in different direction. She sounds like a very level-headed person to me. She seems like she's even very kind and nice, because she did say it's unfair to take this person on a journey that you know they cannot go through it. And I've seen some of the comments talking about this is why marriages fail. Marriages is meant to be, till thy kingdom come. And now I'm asking, so if I'm with somebody and I outgrow them, I must be with them in the marriage because marriage is forever. No. It's possible for two people to love each other and recognize that we were just here for a season. And now it's time for us to evolve. It's time for us to move through life in different directions. I really believe that this is a call to action for women that are watching, because guys, I love talking about women. But I want women and men to recognize that marriage does not need to be forever before it's deemed as successful. People come into our lives in seasons. Sometimes people are only meant to be there for a particular season. Maybe they're meant to be there in a year or 2 or 3 or 4. And if you realize that you're going through life, you're in another position, you're in another path, you're in another phase of life, and this person is behind, there is no need for you to drag dead weight. If you have grown your partner, please let them be, so they can find someone who is either on the same path with them or on the same level with them. This is my own opinion on the video. I want to hear what you have to say. I know it was a very controversial video, and everyone has diverse thoughts. Everyone thinks, what they're saying is correct, just like the way I think what I'm saying is correct. But again, I want to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. We'll be right back. And we've come to the end of the show, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know it was a bit serious today with lots of politics and reports, but I hope you learned something, because this platform is not just about gist, which Nigerians love to say, or entertainment. I also want you to come to my platform to learn, to be inspired, to be educated, so that when you go back into your communities, when you're talking with your friends, you can speak intellectually and intelligently about current affairs, politics, pop culture, entertainment, culture, books, whatever it is that we talk about on the show today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is LOLO Cynthia, and I hope to see you next week. Bye-bye.